Okay, well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're doing well. Happy New Year. And happiness is relative to how you respond to your environment generally. So wherever you are, enjoy it however you do. Be, whatever. So thank you all for joining me in 2022. And 2023, we greet with an open heart and an open mind. And we see what unfolds as we let go of what we don't need, large intestine, Winnie, and we inhale what we do need, which could be the lung, you know, the brother, sister of the two, yin-yang polarities of their energy field. So welcome anyone who's brand new to the art of JIN SHIN JYUTSU. The art of JIN SHIN JYUTSU was really a synthesis of many modalities that a teacher, a sensei by the name of Jiro Murai, synthesized. He put together ancient principles, really. I mean, often when people read Mary Burmeister's self-help books, she was his student and she brought the art to the West. Often when they read her books, they haven't changed it. She coins the phrase, it is an ancient art. Well, actually, the reality is it's not that ancient, but the principles are. And I once had this discussion with David Burmeister, why it's said in the self-help books, an ancient art. And he said, oh, well, you know, that's how Mum wanted it to, you know, to be related, how she wanted people to relate to it, but it's the principles. So Jiro Murai studied various modalities, philosophies, including traditional Chinese medicine, 5,000 years old, the Yellow Emperor, as well as perhaps more up-to-date aspects of traditional Japanese medicine. He came from a family of medics. He himself was not a doc. He was a silkworm engineer. And, you know, the story is that he was a bit hedonistic, became ill, went away to the family's cabin in the mountains, and they were Buddhist. And he prayed and chanted and fasted for 7 days, and he was using mudras, handholds, while he was chanting and fasting. And on the 7th day, apparently his body became like filled with tremendous heat, which burnt out whatever toxins were resisting the energy flow of his body, and he was cured of whatever he had. I think 1 or 2 people know what he had. Some people have mused that it was some kind of cancer, but Mary never was into labels, so you rarely heard what Murai was dealing with. She called any dysfunction, any disharmony in the energy field a project, not a problem. So anyway, Murai Sensei passed his wisdom, which he collected over a period of time after deciding that exploring finger holds was going to be the goal for the rest of his life. And he came upon various teachings through the Japanese Book of Life, the Kojiki, and he experimented on folks who are actually homeless in the parks of Japan. And he had tremendous success with this art, which he kept changing the name of as he went along, but it finally became JIN SHIN JYUTSU, which means the art of the creator through compassionate man. I prefer to say through compassionate human. In Japanese, it would be Jitsu Shin Jin. But here in the West, it's JIN SHIN JYUTSU, and it's actually pronounced Jutsu, but let's leave it at Jitsu for now. It's just that the Jitsu is spelled J-Y, not J-I. So what is this JIN SHIN JYUTSU? For those of you that are new, it's an art of harmonizing life energy which is sometimes called chi or ki, as it moves congruently or not, I like to say, through the body. And it moves in energy pathways, meeting what we call energy locks, safety energy locks, and there are 26 safety energy locks, left and right of the spine, 3 are in the arms. And by placing our hands, palms, back of hands, thumbs, on these energy locks, we can facilitate the movement of energy. Because healing and transformation only come in any kind of congruent way when energy moves. When it's stuck, we get pain and we get all the labels. By the way, if you're not muted, please will you mute yourself or I will mute you. Is there anyone? Yeah, I'm gonna have to mute. Sorry, Warren, I'm gonna have to mute you. All right, good. So we place our hands up. These safety energy locks on our body, the 26, they're the size of the palm of your hand. Your hand, not mine. Your unique width. And you can place them, your hands, just on these energy locks, one of the 26 or 2 of the 26. And the energy will begin to move between those 2 areas on your body. Each of those safety energy locks has definitions which relate to philosophical understandings of how their placement affects the energy field generally. Just like the Chinese in acupuncture, they have interesting relationships. We don't always talk about all those relationships in depth, but one of the roles that I want to pursue as we go through this year is understanding more about how we can contemplate those meanings. But for now, I'm going to continue with the trajectory around the 6th depth. Depth in JIN SHIN JYUTSU is another name for a level of consciousness. Biblically, sometimes the quote is, "In my house there are many mansions." Well, these mansions can be seen as frequencies and vibrations of energy, light and sound, but we're mainly talking about light. Mary talked about 9 of these depths. The 9th depth meaning no thing, space, the vacuum, which the quantum field theorists talk of. The 8th depth being the source, which is like a contraction of that vacuum into, something concentrated. And in some traditions, arguably, that could be the sound. I've had this discussion with one of the JIN SHIN JYUTSU instructors, and she believes it would represent Om, spelled A-U-M, or O-M, as some people chant it. The sound of the energy field of, well, there's 3 aspects to it. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, creator, facilitator, and destroyer of the universe. And those qualities all meld together into the sound of AUM. And then that expands further into what Mary would call 7th depth, which is the universal light. Then that light moves into form, which is us or animals or plants, via the entry of that 7th depth into the body in 2 places. It's normally taught in only 1 place, which is just beneath the umbilicus, but in fact it enters at the back of the head too. Marai talked about that in his Answers and Questions book, which is an advanced book that Mary began teaching when she was working with students from her office. It's not taught at the moment, but I hear that they will return to that teaching. So there's two main areas where that universal energy enters the body. And then there is the solar plexus where the jumper cable enters the body and the spleen energy goes. So we have a triumvirate there. We have, you know, the three levels of the sound. We have the three levels of the energy as it enters the body. As it's entering the body at what we call the sixth depth, which is the spine, where most people are familiar with the term chakras, the energy moves up the back in Jin Shin Jyutsu, up the back of the spine and down the front in the spaces in between. Without the space, that ninth depth that's pervading everything, you can't get energy to move congruently because it's blocked. It needs space to transform. Are you still with me? So we were talking past couple of times about the winter solstice, the time of Sagittarius and Capricorn, which represent Sagittarius representing the diaphragm flow in Jin Shin Jyutsu, and Capricorn the umbilicus. And these two, they're not really organs, they're facilitators of the movement of that sixth depth energy up the back and down the front. We're still in Capricornus, so the umbilicus energy is heightened. So that's the ascending energy. And we talked about how the winter solstice is the recipient of what happened in the summer solstice. As the energy of the sun moved deep into the earth, it's stored for those 6 months from June the 21st right round to December the 21st, and then bang, it begins to move up the spine. For those of you that have studied Jin Shin Jyutsu, you can also look at it as the fourth depth winter energy of kidney and bladder moving in to the sixth depth umbilicus diaphragm before it emerges in the spring to the third depth liver and gallbladder. But that's not important to know when you practice self-help. It's just something, if you've studied, it might help you make more sense of that movement of energy through the cycles of the season. So we moved from that to looking at resolutions, New Year resolutions. Most people say they want to keep them and don't. And I offered a practice which I've worked myself, which took a segment of the main central energy, which is that spine, to allow us to facilitate the energy to help us change. You cannot, I don't believe, change without the energy to change. You can talk about it until, as I mentioned last week, the cows come home. But if you don't have the energy, how can you change? You can think about it, but you can't bring that energy from heaven, the head, to earth, to manifest it, for it to become something tangible, at least to you. So the main central, the sixth depth spine energy includes centers, which some people, as I said, was that teaching last week, Terry? Yes, it was. Diana. Includes what most people understand to be energy centers or chakras. When Mary first talked about the main central, she actually included the tip of the nose and didn't include the umbilicus. I don't know why that was, no one's ever told me, but later on she did include the umbilicus. So we have these 8 steps as energy moves down the front of the body, and it moves down in a spiral in Jin Shin Jyutsu, and the spiral is always going in a positive direction, because apparently when energy spirals in a positive direction, the message that the universe relays back to us is positive. If you want to turn it around the other way, the message is potentially negative, potentially. There's a polarity here, but we favor the positive because that's more harmonious. And that's the kind of frequency we work with in Jin Shin Jyutsu. It is an art of harmony, longevity, happiness, and so forth. The qualities that, well, most people understand to be uplifting, life-supporting. The fact that we don't always stay there, is probably due to our thinking and our emotional responses to our environment, our likes and dislikes, our attitudes. All right? And we've all got them to one degree or another, but JIN SHIN JYUTSU is here to harmonize them. And the sixth depth is that energy of the spine I mentioned, working through the 7 centers or chakras. And these chakras centers are spinning, and they're bringing in different qualities. And it's those qualities that are fed like through tributaries. You know, it's like from a river to a tributary. And the tributaries move away from these centers, and they connect to all the cells in the body, which make up all the organs in the body. So they feed all the organs, brain included, by the way. And once those pathways are clear and clean, our thoughts, words, and our deeds are clear. And generally speaking, that means they're harmoniously connected to the wisdom and purity of the heart. Because JIN SHIN JYUTSU is an art of compassion, and what is often missed is that true compassion, my understanding of it, is the result of a pure heart. And of course, that chakra or center sits between the other 3 up and the other 3 down. It's that, you know, 4th center, which can also relate back to safety energy lock 4, which is at the back of the head where universal energy also enters, which is the window that lets in more light. And as we practice the main central, because this is what I do on Harmonize2Energize, I practice self-help. We're going to practice the self-help main central. I'm going to show you it. I'll have a slide which I'll show you with its qualities. We're going to do the equivalent or the amount of 36 breaths, which Mary used around the denominator of the number 9, which I said earlier is space, the nothing, the cosmic. In numerology, it means end of a cycle, beginning of a new. 4 times 9 is 36. Mary used that equation to describe how energy stepped down from subtler to denser realms. Well, we can partition or segment those breaths to smaller units to accommodate as we place our hands on different safety energy locks in the body, and that's what we're going to do with the spine. We're going to do 7 sets of 4 exhalation inhalations and 1 set of 8. 7 4s is 28, plus 8 is 36, so we round it up to the 36 breaths, if you like. All right. So I've been talking a lot, which I'm apt to do. Let's share the screen and have a look at this main central. Why did that happen? I don't know why this happened. This always happens to me. Anyway, can you all see this?
No.
No is the reply. Can you see it?
No.
You can't?
No.
Really?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, yes and no.
It's no. I
turning-
can't see it. No.
You can't see it, Tom?
There.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why that happened. It's kind of glitchy. I don't know what that's all about. Anyway, that is the well, it's a picture of the front part of the spine, and it's describing where we're going to place first our right hand, and then it says LLL by all those positions, and you can see the first step to my left and then the last step to my right. Basically, we're going to place our right hand on the top of our head, or on safety energy lock 4, where the energy actually enters the brain, which is the occiput. So you can place the palm of your hand over the occiput or on the top of your head. If you place it on the occiput, the energy is going to move from there into the cerebrum, and then it will move down the front of the body as we place our left hand at these different centers. So we'll begin with right hand on top of the head or back of the head, then the left will be the forehead, center of the eyebrows. Then the next is the tip of the nose. That's not a chakra that's conventionally understood to be, but it actually helps clear the sinuses, opens up the kidney flow, etc., etc. Mary included that. No one's ever really told me why, but it's very good for clearing the sinuses, and it relates to the kidney, which also relates to the reproductive system. So maybe there are reasons there. The next one, as you go down here in the sternal notch, the top of the manubrium, then the center of the sternum, then the base of the sternum, then just above the umbilicus, then on the pubic bone. And then finally, the last step for this particular sequence, you take your hand away from the top of the head or the back of the head and you put it on your coccyx. So what you've done basically there is you've moved energy down the front with this right, left, 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 left down the centers, and then with the left on the pube and the right on the coccyx, that right hand on the coccyx has moved the energy up the back. You can see it there, goes on the coccyx. So we've gone from down the front to up the back. And now, come. Yeah, I wanted to get this a lot larger. Oh, there we are.
Okay.
This goes through all the different qualities of what placing the hands on these different places, centers, will facilitate in your body. You can see step one, that's where the hands on the top of the head, and then it goes left hand on the forehead. Means unconditional understanding, and it improves the memory, helps prevent senility, harmonizes pituitary, pineal glands, etc., etc. There's all these explanations. I don't really have time in this presentation to go through every single one of them, but those of you that are familiar with JIN SHIN JYUTSU already will have a sheet like this from your training, or you can find information in Self-Help Book 1, starting on page 15. So let's get out of the share and I'll come back. Self-Help Book 1, folks, I put the information how you can order that in the chat. It's it's actually not as green as this. It's actually a white background with green illustrations, bamboo. But page 15, getting to know myself, project number 1 in the self-help book is the main central source of life. And it will go through all those qualities. Those of you like Tom and me, who've got Waltraud's Health in Your Hands, which is a pack of all the information on the energy locks and the main central, the universal supervising mediator, you will find that Waltraud, like in Self-Help Book 1, does not include that umbilicus center, but Mary did eventually. It wasn't updated in the books, but we're going to do it. We're going to include that in our practice today. So, one breath, if you're all still with me, particularly the new people, I apologize if this is all a little rat-a-tat, a little overwhelming. Breathe out. Exhale. Drop your shoulders. Sit up as straight as you can. Keep the spine as straight as you can. If you need some support for your back, get a cush and stick it behind your back.
Don't forget to get a cush.
Yeah. Can someone mute themselves? And relax. Feel your shoulders beginning to melt, just as if you're in an elevator and the shoulders are moving down, 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 down through your hip line, all the way down through your legs, to your feet, to your big toes, to the ground beneath. Heaven in JIN SHIN JYUTSU is the head, and earth is the feet. A full breath in JIN SHIN JYUTSU is a full body breath. We exhale from the head through the hip to the toes, hip to the toes, and then we inhale or receive a breath from the toes through the hip back to the head. And as I said, energy moves from safety energy lock 4, the window that lets in more light, which is the back of the head, moves down, it moves through safety energy lock 15, which is fill your heart with joy and laughter, why not? And then to safety energy lock 7, which is victory, perfect life power. Why is it victory? Well, you brought that energy all the way down from your head to your toes. You've actually moved something from heaven to earth. And people say, I move heaven and earth to do this. Good. Move heaven and earth to do something, because that is how I believe you manifest. You move heaven to earth. All right. So let us begin moving heaven to earth. And we're going to do 4 exhalation inhalations on each of those energy centers. So we'll exhale, let the energy move to our feet, and then we'll receive, we'll inhale from the feet back up to the head. That's 1 breath. We're going to do that 4 times on each center until we arrive at the pube, where we're going to reverse the energy to go up the back, and we add our hand to the coccyx. We're going to do 8. 8 represents rhythm and strength and harmony in the understanding of the definition from numerology. And in the depths, it is that source. We talked about the contraction of the 9th depth. So we're going back to source. Down the front, letting in as much light as we can with 4 breaths. And then we go back to source. Enough already, Terry. Let's begin. All right. Get your right hand. If you're left-handed, try your right hand. Your right hand's either going to go on the top of your head or on the back of your head. I always find it more comfortable on the back of my head. You do what's comfortable for you. Left hand, forehead. Close eyes. Sit up straight. Now, as you're breathing out and receiving, you may or may not feel a pulse like you would at the radial artery at this position, this safety energy lock, which is middle 20 and 4. You may feel pulses in both these places. Very good. That means the energy is moving between them. If you don't panic. You just may need to hold them a little bit longer, or if you move to the next position, it may facilitate that experience for you. The thing about all these practices is do not worry, do not panic, do not get into it's not working for me. You are where you are, I am where I am. Your channel is open or not, differently from mine. So, no attitudes about this, my friends. Just let go. And as you let go, you allow man's best friend, DOG, to help you move the energy down the front, and GOD to help you move the energy up the back. Here we go, closing your eyes. If you can relax your shoulders, breathe out. The energy moves down through the hips, all the way to the feet, and back up from the feet through the hips to the head. That's 1 breath. 3 more times. Here we go. And the receiving of the breath is not forced, it's receptive. The exhale, you may need to push a little bit because generally people are more used to inhaling than exhaling. So if you're unfamiliar with letting go through an exhale, it may need a bit of extra effort on your behalf. Go right ahead. And as that energy moves down through the body, see if you can feel the connection with your feet to the ground beneath. All those centers in the feet are wanting to connect with all the minerals and the water in the earth, because that is how energy gets earthed, through minerals and water. And what you don't need needs to go there in order to be recycled up the back. Mother Earth is the great nurturer. She takes what we don't need and she gives us what we do need in the form of cosmic purified energy, which moves up the spine. 2 more. Mute, please.
Call from C&B Group.
Can you mute yourself?
Call from C&B Group. Call from C&B Group. Call from C&B Group.
Okay, thank you. So I don't know where we got to, but let's say we've done 4. You may or may not have felt the pulses. It's okay. We now keep our hand, the right hand where it was, and then the left hand goes to the tip of the nose. Here we go. 4 exhalation inhalations. Very good for clearing the sinuses, this. My metabolic rate may be different from yours. You may finish before me or you may not. It's okay. Just do your 4. Open your door for the window that lets in more light at your pace. Normally, I like to say as we complete however many breaths we're doing, we take a pause at in this case, the 4th breath, and we just observe, witness how we're feeling and where we're feeling. Might give you some indication of where there's resistance in your body. And if you come back to this later and it's still there, you may go to this place to help move it. All right. Now we go to the 3rd position here, which is the sternal notch, top of the shoulder girdle there. Place your hand or your fingers in between that sternal notch. Four breaths. Here we go. Those of you that are familiar with biochemistry of the body will know that we're also connecting to the glandular system. So here we are on the thyroid, stroke parathyroids. Glands are the chemical messengers of the body. So as you're holding on to this, what are you thinking? What are you saying to your glands? Harmony is a good word, I find. Show me the harmony. Might be a mantra. If your mind's going haywire, bring it back to center with, show me the harmony. And as you finish the fourth exhalation, inhalation, you've already done 12 exhalation inhalations. Chances are you're a different person from where you were at the beginning. Because this energy, as it spirals in a positive direction, it's light, it's moving through different levels of energy in your body, helping you out at the deepest and most superficial levels, cleaning, building, boosting, re-energizing. Okay, right hand stays where it is, left hand goes into the center of the sternum, the heart area, middle, safety energy lock 13. Center for forgiveness, if you like, love thy enemies as yourself. Place your hands there. And 4 exhalation inhalations. When we forgive, think of safety energy lock 4, the window that lets in more light. We bring light to a situation. And then you could say we can forget it because we've got the perception that we didn't have before. No pun intended, no play on words intended. But we need to consider putting light on a situation that we find difficult to forgive. And the more we give light to it, we get the perception of what maybe it really was all about. And often it's not a big deal. But everyone's on their own journey. So you travel at your speed. Okay, when you finish your 4 exhalation inhalations, remember we're always letting go first in order to receive in JIN SHIN JYUTSU. You can't really fill a full cup. It has to be, your cup has to be empty. We're then going to move down to the base of the sternum, solar plexus area, where the jumper cable energy, which is another name for where we place our hands when we're receiving or giving JIN SHIN JYUTSU, enters through the solar plexus, place our fingers through there. And another 4 exhalation inhalations. As I said, see if you can feel that connection with your feet to the ground. It's important to ground this energy. See if you can feel it. Maybe wiggle your toes a little bit if you can't. Or imagine you got huge magnets on your feet, or you're stuck in mud, anything to get that sense of energy moving down. And then the mud disperses into a finer energy as it moves up the back. Maybe you're noticing that some of the other centers that didn't appear to be moving much are now beginning to move a bit better, because as you go beneath an energy field, you're pulling energy. So you're activating it with a pull. When you go above it, you're pushing it, push-pull. All right, when you've reached the fourth exhalation, inhalation, just pause, notice how you feel, where you're at, what's going on. Just notice it, just observe, don't think about it, just observe. Then we're going to move our hands from the solar plexus down to the navel, which is just above the navel, the belly button, which is what Mary added, which he hadn't used before. Now, in some modalities, this is the Kikai point or the Tao point. And here we come into this whole discussion about, does the energy enter in the front through the umbilicus, or does it go in at the back? Some will say it comes in through the back, directly opposite the umbilicus, the Tao point. And I'm not going to argue, I'm just going to say it's your experience, so experience it and see what you feel. I believe energy comes in at the back and in at the front. Exhaling, inhaling. If you notice warmth, that's a good sign. That means energy is moving and vibrating, helping the cells vibrate, and it's creating some warmth. It's a good sign. This is an art of circulation. We like to feel warm, especially when it's cold outside. But our inner warmth is our inner primal fire, the main central, and this is what we're igniting or activating here. The power that brings our being, activates our being in our form, in our body, through these centers. I remember back in the 60s, there was a song called Fire by the Crazy World of Arthur Brown. And he said, fire, I'm going to teach you to burn. Fire, I'm going to teach me to learn. Yes, I mean, the purification primal fire will burn out things that we don't need, the floss, the debris, and it will teach us what we do need. And it is powerful. Some of us need to engage in that primal fire a lot more. Some of us need to cool it down. And the descending aspect of any flow is the water aspect, which is cooling, and the ascending is very much more the fire aspect. So we balance both. Right, where are we going now? Right hand stays where it is, left hand goes on the pubic bone, that whole reproductive area where the regeneration flows of kidney, liver, and spleen move through. The three warriors in the field, Mary Burmeister called them. Without these, our body is prone to fatigue. We need these regeneration flows to meet with the primal fire. So 4 exhalation inhalations, here we go. And reaching the fourth, we pause, and then we're going to bring our right hand down, and this time the right hand's going to go on our coccyx. If that's a little difficult for you, for whatever reason, just move that hand left or right of the coccyx, whichever is most comfortable. Some people have fallen on their coccyx and it's sore, so just move it away gently. And now we're moving that energy for 8 exhalation inhalations up the back, the primal fire, up the back, cosmic purified, mingling with cosmic purified energy, cleaning out the energy centers, burning out the dross. Here we go. And when you reach your 8th exhalation inhalation, you have completed the main central self-help for 36 breaths. 3 and 6 is 9, end of a cycle, beginning of a new. Notice how you feel. When you're ready, just open your eyes and just observe. Maybe it's time to bring your hand away from the coccyx or not. And just place your hands in your lap, in your 15s, in your groin. And just be with yourself and everybody else, the energy field that we're all in together, the soup that we all share. And feel the connection with everybody. Maybe you feel different, maybe you don't, doesn't matter. Energy moves in its own time. We help it with our hands. And now's the time. We've got 10 minutes. We might just have time to offer someone a birthday blessing if there is someone with a birthday or someone with a project. But before we do that, I just want to say, those of you that are familiar, we have our Friday mystery presenters from time to time. And I'm delighted to say that we have one next week, a mystery presenter. And I'll encourage you gently or maybe forcibly to come along. And a lot of people will enjoy this one, I am pretty convinced. I'm going to stretch and say it's special. And come. and see, it'll be what it'll be. It is what it is, a favorite phrase of what Mary's Burmeister would say. And it is what it is. But I just happen to be personally very encouraged by what we may well receive next Friday. Friday the 13th. 1 and 3 is 4. The window that lets in more light, even more light. So we look forward to that. But for now, unless anyone's got a really pressing question, is there anyone who's got a birthday or a project they're working with? I know Sheree is working with the COVID project. Is there anybody else who's working with anything that they would like a blessing? Your birthday is Sunday, Shani. Okay. Do any of you want to be spotlighted so everyone gets to see you alongside myself? If not, that's fine. I understand it. So Shani has got a birthday on Sunday, so many happy returns of that on Sunday. Anyone who's got a project, I apologize, Sheree, if I have let out the cat from the bag with your condition. Would you like to be spotlighted?
Well, I was going to say, because I had such a wonderful session with you on Tuesday, I'm fine blessing Shani with her birthday to have you spotlight her if she's up for that.
Okay.
I'm feeling heaps better. I'm so much better. Bless you.
Oh, you're welcome. That's great. So Shani, where are you? Have you scarpered? Did you not want to be spotlighted?
Nope, that's good. I'm happy
Nope.
to. Thank you.
Nope.
It's Shani.
Shani, did you want to be spotlighted?
Sure. Here, let me turn my camera on.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't find you. No camera. Yeah, you guys. Okay, good job. Let's find you. Think.
That's me waving.
Yeah, I'm looking. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's my machine. It does do some funny things. Good. Oh, there you are. Gotcha. There you are. Well done. All right, everybody. The rest of you, we got 7 minutes to the end. Victory, perfect life power. All right, this is how I do it. Shani's going to place her hands in receptive mode, palms up, in the 15 in the groin. She's going to place them like that because she's going to receive, and we're going to give, and we can imagine, you can connect your thumbs together because, the energy moves around from the thumbs to the little finger. You can imagine touching your thumbs and your little fingers touching the thumbs of the next person of our group today. Or you can just hold them like this. The energy moves like a Van de Graaff generator between the thumbs anyway. But close your eyes, everybody, if you will. Keep your back straight. Allow the jumper cable energy now to move through your hands. And we mentioned earlier, it comes through the solar plexus. We didn't talk about the figure of 8 it goes through, but it does. It goes through 2 figures of 8 through your body, through your arms and your solar plexus, through your legs. And it allows the energy to transfer, to move through you from the universe. It's not our energy, it's universal energy coming through us, through our hands, fingers, palms, to whoever we are offering a healing, a blessing to, and it's Shani. So,
Shani.
Thank you. I'm not good on pronunciations, it seems. Breathe out, relax, and the energy will come naturally through you to Shani and back. Here we go. Show us the harmony. So your energy field will withdraw when it feels it's offered and shared through you what it needs to. And Shani will receive however much she's receptive to. It's all good. And when you feel that, I like to bring my hands together in the prayer position, which is also, by the way, a very simple self-help for the main central. Palm to palm, like this, like that, is actually the main central, this spine that we just did. So we can say thank you. And when we pray, those of you that do, know that you are connecting to the primal fire. It's not often physiologically explained that way when you're doing any kind of prayer or affirmation, but that's physiologically what you're doing. You're connecting to the 7 chakras and beyond. And that's why sometimes prayers do get answered and sometimes they don't, because the connection is either clear or not. So thank you, Shani. How did you feel?
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, everyone. Very nice. Very
Okay,
good.
Good. Are you from England or are you from America?
I live in New York City.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, I don't know why I said that, but anyway. So, a happy new year, everybody, again. Thank you for joining me. It's 1 o'clock exactly, so I better stop recording.